What's for dinner?
We are making a Korean short rib stew. It's made with Korean short ribs and radish and carrots. So typically what Koreans do with their meat, and this is just again from my own knowledge, we are not Korean, so this is just what we learned from other recipes. So yeah, so typically what they do is they soak the meat first.
For how long?
Typically for like half an hour to an hour, depending on what they're making. So for these short ribs, they were frozen and not completely thawed when I took them out of the fridge. So what I did was I just soaked them in water for 1 hour, approximately 1 hour. And that's to remove all like the gamey, like the blood and all the gamey flavor from the meat. So you'll notice after you do that, the meat turns a lot lighter because all the blood has come out. And so yeah, so you'll notice like, don't worry, it's not hot water. The meat is pretty light. I also like cleaned it, so I removed a lot of the fat. And then we put it in cold water and we're boiling this for 5 minutes or so with some green onions and a couple cloves of garlic. And this is sort of like the blanching phase of cleaning the meat to again remove that gamey flavor. Okay.
So the green onions and the garlic were added just recently. They weren't there during the soak.
They were not there doing their soak, correct.
Okay. Okay. So lid on.
Okay, so I'm just prepping the vegetables for the short ribs. So I cut up some carrot. There's about 1.5 carrot in here. You can add more or less. And I have some radish here, or daikon here. And you'll notice I cut the carrots into the sort of like roundish shape. And I'll show you what I do. So basically, I chopped up the daikon and, made each slice into quarters. And then I just take a knife, and be careful, don't cut yourself. And I just trim off all the rough edges. So to be honest, I don't know if this affects the flavor, but a lot of Korean and Japanese cooking, they're all about cutting the food into certain shapes, and it's not always just like a visual thing or aesthetic thing, but to help it cook faster. So the more sides there are, the faster it'll soften up. So if you don't want to waste food, then you don't have to do this if you don't care what it looks like. But they come out into nice little balls and they're kind of cute. So I still do it. If you think this is tedious, then you can skip this step. But yeah, this is what I do. So usually with daikon, you need about maybe half a daikon. So usually with daikons, they're really large, and you might wonder, like, what am I supposed to do with the rest of this daikon? I'm not going to throw all of it in this dish. So I actually have, this is a smaller daikon, but I have the rest of it here, and I'm planning on pickling it as a side dish for another day or tonight. Probably won't be ready by tonight. We've tried pickling daikon, and we like it about like 3 days, 4 days after it's been pickled. So yeah, so that's what you can do. There's tons of things that you can do with it, like decoration, or if you know how to make like turnip cakes, you can do that. Yeah, so I'm just going to continue cutting up the rest of this daikon, shaving it down.
Okay, so it's done boiling.
So we're gonna fish it out, and you can see all the nasty gut that came out, all the dirty stuff. So yeah, so removing that will help have a cleaner taste. You notice like a lot of the oils, although I did remove a lot of the fat. So we're just gonna fish it out. So I do find with a lot lot of Korean dishes, like just preparing the meat, especially like pork or beef, does require a little more work than your typical Asian dish, just because they do this whole cleaning process for that nice clean taste. It's probably healthier for you since a lot of the oils get removed in the process. And when we got this from our grocery store, it came in a big slab, and we asked the butcher to just cut it up the way, like this way, because I knew I was going to make this dish. I can ask him to cut it into thin slices if I want to make galbi, which is like a barbecue version of Korean short ribs. Let's go wash it. So obviously it's hot. Use some cold water. You could technically use that same pot to wash it, but we're just gonna do it this way. Just put my strainer here. So you can have the water running if you want. I just do it this way. Yeah. Just wash it so that there's no like little shards of bone, for instance. You can notice like the fat is floating to the top, and you can see the white little bits. So if I notice like stuff like this, like fat, I take it out. Yeah, you don't have to, but since I'm in here cleaning, I might as well just remove more fat. Okay. I see more fat up here, so I'm going to kind of scrape it off. Again, it's up to you. If you like the fat on, then by all means keep it. And our daughter really likes this dish. She doesn't, people who know her know she doesn't eat meat all the time, but she really likes short ribs. I should have really shown you guys how much fat I have removed before even cooking it. There was a little mountain of fat. I showed my husband. I said, kind of saved him from a couple heart attacks. Okay. And that is it. So now you can see all this nasty gut that is left behind. So yeah, so that's like all the stuff that we cleaned out. And if you look at the pot of water, there's even more nasty stuff in there. Gonna leave this to the side while I get the rest of the ingredients ready. So we're making the sauce for the stew. So we have about 5 cloves of garlic in there, and I'm just cutting up the Asian pear right now. A lot of Korean dishes use pears to naturally sweeten the food rather than adding a lot of sugar to it. And it's also a nice way to get some fruit in your diet. Typically like traditional, I guess, Chinese medicine, which is quite similar to Korean medicine, Korean traditional medicine, I suppose, believe that like beef is very hot in properties, and so something like Asian pear, which is a little cooler, same with a daikon, sort of balances that heat. So if you're familiar with traditional Chinese medicine, it's all about like balancing of yin and yang. So if something is too hot, for instance, then it's considered not good unless your body is typically cold, or vice versa. If your body is very cold, then you want something hot. So this is a nice, I guess, balanced dish. So I just peeled that, make sure I'm using the right side of the knife. And we're just gonna cut this up and put it in there to blend it up. Doesn't matter how I cut it since it's gonna get blended anyways. I just try to make them a little smaller. And blender wise, we use a Ninja. I'm sure any blender would work for this.
We seem to like our Ninja appliances.
Oh yeah, we have a Ninja Foodie Grill.
Which is our grill / air fryer.
Yeah.
That we did on, what did we did? Roasted pork belly
Yes.
yesterday,
Yes.
which we used that appliance.
And we've used, what was the other one called? The one that your brother has, John? What's it called?
Which one?
His,
Oh, Vitamix?
Oh yeah. So we've used the Vitamix before. Honestly, I don't think it makes that big of a difference for what purpose we need it for. If we're gonna like ground flour or something like that, maybe. We don't drink a lot of smoothies or anything, so it doesn't make much of a difference to us. Wash my hands. So, just gonna pop this up. And I guess with the Ninja, the difference is when you use the blender, the pitcher, they have blades throughout, so they're not just on the bottom.
This one's fine for this purpose, I believe.
Yes. Obviously, if you drink smoothies, you probably don't want to use the same container because of the garlic. It's going to have a garlicky taste, so you probably want to use a different cup. But we don't really drink smoothies, so it doesn't matter. And turn it on. Pretty much done. So liquefied. Yay! Okay, now we just have to add the rest of the stuff to it. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Right, about a 1/4 tablespoon. I just eyeball it. You can add more, it's not gonna hurt. Sesame oil.
Also eyeballed, obviously.
About 30 milliliters. So I'm gonna just do half of 60. Doesn't have to be accurate. That's the beauty of Asian cooking, right? So about half of 60. Throw that in there. Then we are going to actually close this back up. Just because my sugar is a little coarse, I'm going to throw it back in here actually. You can just mix it with a spoon if you want. Hey, the sauce is done. Okay. So typically, like when I'm working, oops, so I do work full time. So usually when I'm working, what I do is I would cook this dish in an Instapot, just because it does take quite a while. Today we do have some time, so I'm sort of debating if I should do like over a Dutch oven or an Instapot. Maybe we'll do both. We'll do first step Instapot, and then the second step I'll take it out on the Dutch oven. Just because it does taste different. It has a bolder taste in the Dutch oven because of the evaporation that happens. In the Instapot, it's more liquidy, so it's more like a broth. So it's totally up to you, your preference. Okay, so that's what we will do. Using my Instapot, and I'm just on the saute function. I'm just frying the ribs, just so you know it has a nice little color on it for flavor. So I pretty much toss them around a little bit. Oh, and add a little bit of olive oil on the bottom before I put the meat in. And now we're going to add the sauce. So we're just doing this on our stove just because we have the fan. Make sure your stove isn't on or it's not hot, otherwise you're going to melt your Instapot. So yeah, so I'm just going to pour the sauce that we just made in here. And just going to mix it around. Ôi thấy baby, then so now we're just going to add water to about like 2/3 of the level of the beef or the ribs. I'm just going to pour the rest inside. It's there. All right, and now we're going to cover this. So turn off the saute function. Where is it?
Saute function is still on.
Turn it off. Cover it, vent it, and we're going to put it on the meat function for about 15 minutes would be fine. I just want the meat to soften up. Use Instapot for that, and then I would take it out and use the Dutch oven. So as you can see, we really like our Instapot, and it's right for working moms or busy parents. So we have two. So we have one with the ribs in it. The other one has our rice in it. So you'll notice we have on the multi-grain function because I'm doing the mixed rice, which takes a little bit longer. And size-wise, they're both the same. And I think function-wise, they're about the same, Baba? Are they? I don't know.
I think there's a slight difference, but I can't remember what it is. They look pretty similar, actually. Might be the same. I thought there was one more function with the red one, but I could be wrong.
So this one's the Viva, and this one's a Duo Plus. So we'll just wait for it to finish, and then we'll take it out, and then we'll add the vegetables. If you want to do the whole recipe using an Instapot, you can throw your veggies on top. The only thing is the liquid. Like you can mix it around, but obviously because of the amount of liquid, it's not going to touch the stuff that's on top, right? Which is why I typically do it in 2 steps. I would open it after 15 minutes, throw in the vegetables, and then close it and let it cook for another like 30 minutes or so. Okay, so we'll come back. I just opened the pot. We forced it to vent, so we didn't let it naturally release. And you can see the broth is a nice, like, dark brown color now. Smells good. We are going to throw in our vegetables. And I've also soak and remove the pits out of these dates. So there are 5 of them. We're going to throw those in as well.
Those are dried dates, right?
Dried dates. And we're just going to give it a nice little toss. I changed my mind. I was going to use the cast iron, but because of time, we are just going to do it this way. So this is what I would typically do after work when I don't have time. Okay, baby mummies, and I'm poking it in. It looks very tender, which is awesome. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we are going to vent and put it on the meat stew button. I know, baby. Hold on, Juju. For half an hour. And we're gonna wait.
Alright.
Check it out. Check it out.
So we got.
It looks good. It looks good. And it smells really good. Oh, the backbone just fell out. So that didn't take too long. Like I said, if you're short on time, just throw everything in. The vegetables might get a little mushy, but test it out and see. So, what I like to do is I use this tool to actually help remove some of the oil. We're all about removing the oil here, or the fat. If you have leftovers and if you refrigerate the sauce, or not the sauce, but the soup, all the oil will actually solidify, and you can remove that for a healthier, soup, broth. We also remove it for our daughter, so it's healthier. So I'll show you what we use. Ta-da! I think they use this for gravy. What do you think, Papa?
I believe you can, yeah.
And I just scoop it in. We use it for soup, for gravies. Basically, the fat floats to the top, the oils, and so that's how we remove most of the oil. So it's, again, cleaner, not as greasy. It's not as, I don't know, like rich, I guess. Might just need to wait a little bit. You can already see it kind of separating there. So yeah, if you like to eat healthy, not sacrificing taste, you can see. So all the oil is kind of going up to the top there. And like the longer you leave it, it'll settle and you'll see it separate a little better. Okay, hold on, Jocelyn. Okay, so we're just gonna go.
So there's a switch where there's a valve on the bottom.
Yes.
So you have the stuff on the bottom coming out rather than the oil from the top being added to your dish.
It's not perfect. Refrigerating it is the best way, but I mean, it is a lot better than, drinking all that oil up there. The white part, I used it to boil the beef in the beginning. So yeah, there you have it. Oh, here we are, our Korean dinner, I guess. So here we have, what we filmed before, just the shishito peppers, just for some extra veg. Yeah, Mama made that, baby. Here we have anchovies with cashews. It's like a Korean appetizer. They typically use peanuts, but we didn't have peanuts, so we just used cashews. And here we have like a spicy squid. And yeah, and then we just have our leftover noodles. And surprisingly, our daughter really likes these two dishes. Well, this one, I just gave it to her when it wasn't spicy, and she really liked it. The anchovies is a great way to get your kid some protein. So I'm actually surprised. I tested it out. She eats it, which is really great because, you know, on days when we're eating some sort of meat that I know she won't eat, I can make this for her on the side and, you know, she'll get some protein.
Is that salty like regular anchovies?
It's not as salty as regular anchovies. They're like dried anchovies, so there is a little bit of salt in them. And then I use some soy sauce, and there's like some sugars in it as well. So it's like sweet and salty. But yeah, she really likes it. You can like ask her. BB, BB, 魚魚好唔好食啊？好食。你 show 爸爸條魚魚，你 show 爸爸邊啲係魚魚啊 ？Which one 啊？冇啊。呢啲肉肉好食啊！ Oh, and she just finished her ribs.
Yep, totally just finished it.
She just ate all the ribs. You go look this one ah. This one like the little fish ah, baby. 你 show 爸爸睇嗰啲魚仔 ，BB 魚好唔好食㗎？嗰啲 BB 魚，哦，good唔 good 㗎？ good 唔 good 啊？
Good.
So actually, to get her to come down, we told her that I'm going to eat all the little fishes, and she ran down the stairs because she was worried that I would eat them all. So she really likes them. So for this, let's taste it. It's really rich. It's really, really rich. Oh, you want tong tong? Okay, Mama, get you tong tong.
And how's the meat?
The meat fell apart basically, and you can tell from our daughter's dish that it all just came apart nicely. It's nice that it keeps its shape, so if you're gonna, you know, serve it, it looks nice. But once you start poking around at it, it will fall apart.
So it's fall off the bone goodness.
Okay, baby, use your spoon. Use your spoon now. Okay, 你 try 個湯湯講俾爸爸知好唔好飲？小心熱喎。I didn't add any salt to the soup. There was soy sauce in the sauce though.
All right.
Okay. Oh, baby, 你 try 個湯湯睇下，講俾爸爸知好唔好飲，好唔好？冇依啲。冇嗰啲撚啦，但係個湯湯好唔好飲啊 ，BB？BB 真入去。BB 好唔好飲啊個湯湯？得。個 soup good 唔 good 㗎？得。係喎，有個撚撚喎而家。你可以加少少飯落個湯度飲 ，OK？ 你不少少飯擺落湯度食咯 ，OK？
Jocelyn, 湯好唔好飲啊？ Good 唔 good 啊？ Well, she's having fun with it, and she's eating it. Is it good? Okay, I'll assume that is good. And so we got approval from the chef and the baby. All right, thumbs up. Good job, Mama.
BB, 手指公，爸爸 finger. Yay! Oh. Oh, it's mommy finger.
Oh, mommy
cooked
finger.
It.
Oh.
So we have tons of leftover, as you can see, a lot of meat. The nice thing about this is actually it keeps fairly well. Like if you want to bring it for lunch the next day or for like another meal, it's great. It, if anything, just becomes more flavorful. So what I'm gonna do is actually, there's not a lot of liquid left, but I'm gonna save it for lunch tomorrow, and I'll probably use it. We have rice, so we'll just use the rice with that, and that will be another meal. So yeah, very good. Oh, sorry. The only other thing is you actually want to separate the meat from the broth, otherwise it'll absorb all the broth and it's going to be dry tomorrow. Okay, so we're just making our lunch today, and this is a leftover soup from last night. And you can see after using the oil separator or oil remover, there is no fat. So typically, if there were fat, it would have floated to the top and it would have been white. So you would see like white chunks on top. And yeah, nothing. So yeah, all the fat has been removed.